to her mouth, Anna stared at her youngest daughter. She rode very well for a 5-year-old, was fearless, and fell off her pony with apparent impunity. Usually she bounced, but one day she wouldn't. "Did you hurt yourself?" "No." "Did she?" Anna asked David. "She said she didn't." Jack said, "Pass them kumaras, will ya?" David passed his father the roast kumara. "Anything in the post today?" These days the mail arrived once a week at the farm gate via rural delivery van, which was a marked improvement on the war years, when someone had to drive into Kareru, the closest little settlement 12 miles away, and collect it from the general store. Jack shrugged. "Bits and pieces." "Nothing important?" "Didn't look. Been too busy." "Doing what?" Jack stared at his plate. After a minute, it became clear he was struggling to remember his day. Anna rescued him. "You read your book, tied it up in the yard, helped me with the washing and fed the chooks. That's right, and you fixed the fence behind the tractor shed." "Full day," David agreed. "And we got through over 1,000 sheep," Jack added. No one blinked an eye, though obviously that was completely made up. Shearing wouldn't start till November. "Did you?" David said. "Good on you." Anna sent David a fond glance across the table. Jack's deteriorating state of mind was the only fly trapped buzzingly in the ointment of her family's happy existence on the farm. She'd been a land girl working for Jack during the war, when David, a veteran, had arrived home in 1944. She'd stayed on and married David 2 years later. Then the children had arrived. Jack's mind had been fine then, but over the last couple of years, his behaviour had become increasingly erratic, to the point that David couldn't work with him on the farm anymore. He had enough to cope with without babysitting someone who was becoming forgetful, unpredictable, irrational, and foul-tempered. David, however, flat out refused to take Jack to the doctor in town, in case the doctor recommended a mental hospital, which David knew would be the end of his father. Instead, she and David kept a close eye on him at home. In the morning, she helped the children with their correspondence school lessons, as the farm was many miles out in the Hawke's Bay Hills, so it was relatively easy to watch Jack, and in the afternoons they all often rode out and worked on the farm with David, though today she and Jack had stayed home, as it had been washing day. In a year or so, though, Rowie would have to be sent to boarding school in Napier. When Peter and Joe, who refused to answer to Joanne, grew older, they'd go off to town too, which saddened her. But they had ambitions they'd never achieve if they stayed on the farm. Rowie wanted to be a nurse. And Peter, even though he was only 6, was desperate to be a soldier, just like his father, and his grandpas Jack and Joseph Dean, Anna's father, and half a dozen men on the Murdoch side of his family, not to mention all the warriors on the Te Roroa side. Jo's current goal in life was to be a shearer, because she had so much fun when the gangs, made up mostly of Anna's Maori relatives, came out to the farm at the end of the year. Anna wasn't too concerned. There were worse things to aspire to than being in a shearing gang. Besides, up until the Christmas just passed, Jo had wanted to be a horse. It was an isolated life, living this far out, but very rewarding living and working on the land. Some days it was heaven on earth, and on others it was a grind, freezing, miserable and filthy, but they loved it. They didn't own the farm, they leased it and always had, but they were doing really quite well from their sheep, which they did own. David had lived here all his life, and Anna came from both sheep farming and shearing families, so it was everything to them. They grew almost all their own food and only went into Napier once a month for other supplies, or perhaps to the store at Kareru for anything urgent. The electricity was on at the house now, albeit somewhat unreliably, and up at the shearing shed, and they even owned a refrigerator and a radiogram. There were regular district dances and sports events, neighbours close enough to ride to, and the great sheep station Kenmore, which Anna's parents ran, was within driving distance. It was a good life. Rowie cleared the plates while Anna fetched pudding, hot from the range. It was